that we're in, I am going to go live. We should be live. Yeah. Okay. This is the first time I get to see behind the scenes of all the YouTube stuff operations. So hopefully it works. Does it show us live on my other... Yes, it does. We're good. Okay. I need to get this... No, we don't need that. We maybe want that. We do want that, and we do want that. Who is the first out and crack? One of the red... No, it's not. It's Imtiaz. So Imtiaz gets to go first. As I've checked that chat is working, so we're good. Apparently there are 0 current viewers right now. I also need to get standings up. So, which button in OBS is it? This one, yeah. I'll just quickly pull that up now. So, the standings sheet. I need to unzoomify you. Squish you down to the bottom of the page. And I get the YouTube thing there. Squish that to the top of the page. And then I go back to the game. Do that. And we are now watching Imtiaz just coming, about to come around the final corners of turn 14 and 15, I think, if I get my numbers right. And is now starting a lap using the battery and DRS, which is what you would expect, if I'm being completely honest. Now coming into turn 1, doing 327, or was it 328 into the braking zone, down to 3rd, short shifting to 4th. Coming out of one of the most tricky traction zones on the track, using all the curb on the apex of turn 3, as there's 3 concurrent viewers right now, according to the thing. As now coming into turn 4, you want to get on throttle as early as possible, opting not to use the curb, which is quite difficult to do. Can you take turn 7, I think, is flat, and I think he did, and using all the road on entry to turn 8 to open up the corner, short shifting to 4th. Now coming into the tricky braking zone of turns 9 and 10. And it's been hooked up quite well so far this lap. Now opening the DRS, going on the medium length straight into turn 11. Down into 4th gear. Opting not to short shift to 5th, but getting some nice traction out of the corner. Flat out through turn 12 into turn 13. Went to try and get the car in as wide an entry, then go for a late apex and get on the throttle as early as possible, which Imtiaz has done very well. The runner-up from last season as Finn Dyson has binned it out of turn 4 and is in a wall and will not be taking further part in this session, which is unfortunate for the AlphaTauri driver. But Imtiaz is now coming to the line and sets a 28.4, which is a very quick lap from last season's runner-up in the standings. Defending champion Dino Puscadia is busy this week, but Cinco sets a 29.2, McGinty a 29.5, Kinnable a 29.9. So a bit off the pace of Imtiaz, but a new driver of Jacob, and I'm not even going to bother to pronounce the last name, is up into P2 with a 28.7. So splitting Imtiaz and Cinco, but Matuziak in 7th has not really set a representative lap, so I think we'll go on board with the Williams driver. He's going to try and set a lap now. We'll go on board, opting to only use the first part of the curb. Jordan Kent is joining now. You are late, Jordan. But Matuziak runs it a little bit deep into turn 4, but there's a variety of lines. As I've just realised, he's only got 0.8 laps of fuel left in the car, so he might opt to come box at the end of this lap, or as I've just been pinged from the Xbox Origin chat because Wodge didn't remove my roles. Have I just got a third ping? Because I can only see that there's 2 from that chat. But regardless, Matusiak is now coming into turn 11, using 4th gear, and now getting on the throttle pretty well, flat out through turn 12, and now into turn 13. Takes a slightly early apex, which does compromise the, what's it called, exit, as Jordan Kent has the excuse that he was fixing his bike. But Matusiak now comes out of the final corner, opens up DRS, comes to the line. What time is it? It is a 1:29.2, so not a bad lap. As AJ Modi, I think, is on a lap. He was another quick driver that unfortunately got banned last season for unimportant absences, but hopefully this season will go better for the Indian driver, who is making his way out of turn 13 and deciding to use that curb on exit, which has an interesting bump if you don't dismount it by the end of the curb. But coming out of the final corner, short shifting to 5th, using all the road on exit, running out of ERS deployment, and sets a 28.3, which is good enough for provisional P1. As Jordan claims he won't be doing well, that is not the attitude I want from a PC3 runner-up. I think you can do quite well, Jordan. Stop doubting yourself, as there's 6 concurrent viewers. As Bashi has misspelt my name, but hello. Is there anything happening on track? What about Darius Bodian in the McLaren? Seems to be on a lap now. Seems to be pretty clean so far. Now coming into whatever corner this is. Getting on to the throttle, that might be traction control assisted, but racers in this tier are allowed to use some of the assists. But unfortunately Bodian has a bit of a spin in one of the tricky corners where to go quickly you really need to have a bunch of rotation in your setup, but that makes it really unstable and hard to control, as apparently there's been 10 total viewers with an average view duration of 2 minutes 43 seconds. But now 2 people have left. Why are the analytics so interesting? I don't have anything to talk about this qualifying session, but Tuesday's not doing anything interesting. There's a bunch of people on outlaps, including Kacper. Wait, this is Matusiak. Slightly different spelling to Matusiak, and is currently not on a quick lap, as McGinty has unfortunately disconnected. There's currently 5 people watching the stream, so hello to all of you. If you want to say hi in chat, you can, to boost viewer engagements, as there's 2 likes on the stream, which is lovely. Let's go with Van Helden, who is a new driver this season. Now coming through the fast chicanes of 6 and 7, now into turn 8. Going a bit deep on entry, which will cost a bit of time, but it's not the end of the world. Now into the trickiest braking zone on the game, probably. Runs onto the curb, which I'm not sure if that was accidental or intentional, because Lucas Blakely likes to use that curb, so I like to call it the Lucas Blakely line, but Van Helden also runs deep through turn 11, so that might suggest a minor issue with the brake pedal. However, the throttle pedal is doing perfectly fine in turn 12, down to turn 13, and it's deep again, so maybe lacking a bit of rotation in the car. But coming into turn 14 and 15, does the Belgian driver get it to the apex? Yes, and uses all the road on exit, opens DRS, comes across the line into a 31.1, so not the best lap so far. Is Jordan on a lap? Yes, he is right now. And now coming into turn 9 and 10 in the Mercedes, hooks up on the apex very nicely. As I'll switch to an off-board camera now for the variety. Coming into the fast left hand of turn 12. Getting on the throttle really early to maximise the exit speed through turn 12 and turn 11 and turn 12. Now out of turn 13 the Mercedes driver comes, as there's only one more corner left, which is a pretty easy corner to mess up if I'm being completely honest. And comes out of the corner, gets a minor wiggle on exit, but otherwise it's well held. And now comes across the line and this is a 29.0, which is P5 for now, as McGinty is complaining about EA dying, which is one of the downsides of this game. You get crossplay, but you also get this EA thing. Is anyone else on a lap? I've never been on a lap with Kelechi. I'm just looking to try and find the first name in the standings now. It's Poitou. As the Williams driver is out of battery. So maybe I won't commentate this lap. Is Modi on a lap? Yes, he is. As we'll watch on the Indian driver, who's currently provisional P1. Can he extend his margin at the top? As he opens the DRS and is now coming down into turn 11, which I think is a very nice corner, but short shifting into 6, which is an interesting gearing choice, taking a very wide line on entry to 12, which makes sense when you're on hard tyres, max fuel, but in qualifying you just want to minimise the distance, which going wide on entry doesn't do optimally, let's just say. Uses 5th gear and exit of 14 and 15, which is not unusual, and it sets a 28.0, so a pretty quick lap. Matusiak is out of fuel, Kent is going into the pits, McGinty's on an out lap, and Matusiak is also on a lap, and this seems to be a much better lap than the previous laps. Now coming out of the final corner, again short shifting into 6th. Maybe not confident with the grip as the ERS runs out at the end of the lap, and it is a 29.6 for the driver from Poland. Is there anything else going on? Ibn Chaz is improving by 1/10 so far in the first sector. Now going through the second sector, seems to get some pretty good grip out of the corner. Now into whatever turn this is, using the Blakely line, although going off track and getting a lot of wheel spin, so not ideal, and the McLaren does not have enough fuel to go for another lap. I got pinged twice by the crossplay tier to ready up, which is funny. Although the start to this race was a bit delayed, fortunately it was only like 5 minutes delayed, because I have my policy of anyone who doesn't turn up joins mid-quali. We go back and board Van Helden, who is the only person who's going to be on a lap, as everyone else is either on an in-lap or actually everyone else is in the pits. The driver's currently at the bottom out of all the classified drivers, or the drivers who've set a lap, and by a pretty decent margin, so I think there might be a bit of time left on the table for the Ferrari. And starting a lap coming out of the final corner now. Gets on the throttle and opens DRS. And seems to have a car that's pretty slippery in a straight line, doing 331 into the braking zone and goes very deep, which will cost a bunch of time. I wouldn't be surprised if driver backs out and goes for another lap, which I think is what's happening, but I don't have anyone else to go on board with because, what's it called? What's it? You know what? Everyone else is also on an out lap, and everyone else doesn't have this much to improve by, so there's not really much point in going on board, so I guess I'll just do my ramblings about strategy. It is unlikely to rain in the race, and what's it called? Let me try to get words out. It's going to be a one-stop race, that's what I meant to say. Because the pit stop is 23 seconds plus warm-up. And the tyres, they're actually pretty durable around here. Soft medium is mathematically possible. Whether it's a faster strategy, it actually might be, it might not. I'm not sure though. I think actually all three of the one-stop combinations are viable. Although you'd have to bear in mind that the warm-up on the hards is utterly dreadful. But if there's an early safety car, that could really shake the strategy up, as you can just about take hards from lap 3 to the end if you're gentle on the rear tyres. The Ferrari is starting a lap again, hopefully it doesn't brake too late. Brakes at the start of the curve, which is roughly where you want to brake if you're on low wings. Takes a corner much more nicely is how to gram it correctly, and is now coming into turn 4, turning in a bit early and going for an early apex, but seems to have recovered it on corner exit. Now coming through the far chicane of 6 and 7 and does it pretty nicely. Now into turn 8, goes a bit deep again and then onto one of the deadly curbs and exit, which will cost a tenth or two. And now into the tricky corner and actually does the braking zone quite nicely. As we're now going down the 4th longest straight on this track, I believe, or it might be the 3rd longest, or it might... Well, there's the main straight, which is the longest, and then there's 3 other straights which I'm not sure about. Because the Ferrari is able to take turn 12 flat and just keeps it within track limits. Or not. There's an invalidation. So unfortunately, Cheyenne will be starting from P12 on the grid, although that is ahead of Finn Dyson. Who else is on a lap? Is Imchaz on a lap? No. Is Modi on a lap? I don't care. Invalidated pits. Bodian's improving very slightly, although that snap will probably chuck away any improvement. As McLaren comes across the line, it's a 28.7, so I guess it is an improvement. Has Modi binned it? Is Modi the Alpha? I think the other AlphaTauris. The AlphaTauris have both binned it on track, which is interesting. McGinty's invalidation heading into the pits, so nothing else really to happen in qualifying. And your grid orders: Modi, Imchaz, Garris, Bodie and Matusiak, Kent McGinty, Kinnable, Cinco, Matusiak, Lecce, as that's probably my 5th pronunciation that I've done of that name this stream so far. Van Helden and then Finn Dyson. Modi was apparently on 4.8, so seems to have a lot of pace in qualifying. Whether that translates to the race, I am not sure. We are now moving on to the race. Here's race director. Here's everyone's tyres. Everyone's used 3 except Bodian, who's used 2, and Finn Dyson, who's used 1. So, in case there's a late safety car and you'll go for softs, or you're doing a soft hard, or soft medium, or medium soft, or hard soft, and you've gone for the balanced tyre allocation, here's the 2 people that will have a brand new set without any incidents. You saw that on stream for a brief flash. Right. Yeah. I'm quickly going to grab a drink while we load into the grid. Hopefully no one readies up and starts the race instantly. Someone's clicked start race. Jordan Kent is going for the hards. Sergio Perez is going for the mediums, but isn't racing. As we've got 5 seconds left until whatever 5 red lights, or whatever people say. Okay. 3, 4, 5 red lights. And away we go for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and it seems like Imtiaz... I want to do this thing. Imtiaz has gotten a far better start than Modi and will be ahead into turn 1, having used they're all in hards. So it seems like that's been a pretty poor start for Modi, as there's not too much going on at the start. As I say that, there's a spin for the Williams, as they're now heading into turn 4, and it seems like they've all made it through safely, as they're now coming into the middle sector for the first time after qualifying with a bit more fuel and load in the car, so they can't... There seems to be some action going on behind, but they can't go as quickly as they did in qualifying. What am I trying to say? It's the start of the race, that's what's happening. As unfortunately Matuziak has had another spin, this time at turn 8, so his rear tyres might be a bit gone. But out front, Modi does not have the pace he had in qualifying, and he seems to be coming under a little bit of pressure from Bodian. And Imtiaz, despite being on the hards, has been able to pull away from the rest of the train. Which isn't looking good for him, as Modi's teammate Finn Dyson has also had a spin, as Bodian is also seeming to struggle a little bit and is coming under pressure from Jordan Kent, who's on the medium compound tyres. So we'll follow on board with the Mercedes as they touch on the straight, but fortunately neither of them are in a wall, and seems like they'll be going side by side through turn 2. Hopefully they don't collide with each other, and it seems like they've made it through, and Jordan Kent with the softer tyres has been able to make the move on Darius as they now head into turn 4. And there's yellow flags as Van Helden has spun in turn 3, or it might have been turn 2. Well, it's in the same corner complex, but we have a pretty tight train all the way from 2nd down to 9th, who will have DRS when that gets enabled. So the drivers seem to be sticking to each other quite well, except for Modi, who's really dropped off the back of Imtiaz, and Imtiaz seems to just be pulling away right now, and Jordan Kent is in fact going to be pressurising Modi. And as I'll flick on the telemetry so we know how much battery everyone has, as Jordan actually hasn't used too much so far, as now coming into this corner, and you can see by the blue accents on the wheel covers that Jordan is using George Russell's car. And as I said that, Modi went very wide in turn 13 and seems to have lost a bit of time as a consequence. And I think Jordan might be putting the AlphaTauri driver under a lot of pressure as Imtiaz sets the fastest lap out front, as DRS will be getting enabled this lap. So I think Jordan might just be waiting for DRS and then going for the pass. So he decides to brake on the curb, which I think I had a discussion with him last season about this. It's something I don't do. What about Mitch? How is Mitch a legend? I don't commentate Mitch anymore in ERO. Oh wait, Mitch was in chat, that's why. Yes, come on Kenty is what Mitch says. Although Modi seems to have picked up the pace a bit now, as I'm getting confused by all this streaming stuff. It's complicated. Yeah. Well, right now it's just a DRS train, Mitch, so I need some entertainment for myself. Also, Bodian is starting to drop off the back of Kent, who looks very racy in that Mercedes, and we'll compare batteries quickly, and they're both actually in very equal batteries. Quill, do your job, says Mitch. My job is to entertain you, whether that means watching the race that's going on or looking at chat and having a podcast thing with some background cars going nyom as Imtiaz sets the fastest lap. And I think Jordan will be able to make the move this lap, as further back... Oh! Modi tries to send it up the inside, however Ken, I think, has been able to hold off, but Modi will have a dose of DRS coming out of the corner, as Jordan goes very defensive into turn 4, but I think he'll be able to hold it with the superior grip. Yes, well... Oh, he's spun! And he's out! And that's brought out the virtual safety car. What have I just witnessed? No, it's got the full safety car. So Modi will need to swap a wing. And everyone on mediums can box the hards and take them to the end. Everyone on hards, I don't know what they're going to do. You can either take their hards and box mediums later. They can do a medium from this point forwards, or they can do a medium soft. Yeah, what have you done? You cursed him, Mitch. I don't think I have the powers to ban you from the... Or do I have the power to ban you from the thing? That is the question. Yeah, bye Jordan. Blame Mitch for this. Is there anything going on? Okay, Mitch, now I need to start the Quill podcast. Under safety car. Or should I do a quiz? Maybe. How do you get a penalty for speeding in the pit lane under safety car? But the people on mediums, most of them are boxing for hards, and I assume they'll take them to the end unless there is another safety car. If there is another safety car, they will presumably come back in for either mediums or softs, depending on when the safety car is. Because the soft tyres actually feel really nice at this track until about 7-8 laps in, when the rears hit 60%, but the fronts just aren't yet at 60%, and then the rear gets a bit skewy through the corners. But otherwise the softs feel great, and the hards, they also feel great once you've got over the warm-up. And like, the more laps you do in the hards, the better they feel. Yes, okay, I have seen coat. Yes, you do, Mitch. The driver who's got a penalty for speeding into the pit lane, and I think the safety car will only be doing one more lap after this one, so there's not a way of boxing back onto another set of tyres and then coming back in again to put these hards back on again, unless the guy went for hard application, which was not the case. But then there wouldn't have been 3 sets of softs in qualifying. That looked like a pretty loose rear end. The mediums at this track, they actually feel pretty decent, but normally the mediums are the best tyre, but at this track the hards and the softs are both pretty great tyres, so the mediums are just in the middle, they're not OP. It's not like Mexico, or Singapore, or China, where the mediums are the best tyre in the race. I missed last year's game. Because back then, the way that the compounds worked out meant that it made sense to use the softs. Because the softs were actually good. In terms of fresh softs were actually quite good. I think the wear rate might be similar, or slightly higher on this year's game than last year's game on the softs. But last year, the softs, the delta between the compounds brand new was about 70% higher probably, so the softs, you could gain a lot of advantage from them before they die off, and even when they die, they went from amazing to not from to and then because they used soft, the tyre wear was higher, and that made interesting races. I feel like doing a social race or something where the hard tyres are banned, and then do it at a high tyre wear track, so that everyone does a 2-stop or something, where the wear's really high. Actually, it doesn't need to be a 2-stop track. If it's just really high tyre wear, that's still interesting. Yeah, I'm planning on maybe organising one at some point. Also, social race, not an actual thing. And there's also another idea I've had floating around, is everyone has to do minimum fuel. So then there's a bunch of lift and coast, and it will be a bit like Formula E in terms of the overtakes and stuff. And no one will want to lead the race as well. McLaren 1-2. You've seen this before somewhat. I don't actually remember I've seen this before. Should I go on board with maybe Darius Bodian, who is quite a long way behind his teammates, so maybe he's listened to Carlos's engineer and the 10 car lengths thing, but that means that McGinty will now be pushing McLaren under pressure, so I'm not sure how well this has worked out, but they're going side by side, and that will allow Imchaz to get away. As unfortunately we have a spinner at the back. Are there any people going side by side? Yes, there are. Lepchi and Garis, which I've probably butchered the pronunciation of a lot, is now following the other, as Van Helden's had a spin, but these guys are now driving into turn 10, and I'm doing some words. Is there going to be any overtakes? Please do some overtaking, I want entertainment. As a 2-sap, the one without an I in the name, at the back in the Alfa Romeo is struggling with the spins a bit and is quite a bit off the back of the leader, but also Finn Dyson's spinned it. Will that bring out another safety car? I'm not sure, but also AJ Modi is thinking about going for a move on Kinnable. And I don't think there will be a safety car for Finn Dyson's car, as AJ's going for it, using a bit of the battery. I'm not sure how hard the Belgian will fight back, although it seems like the Mercedes is either using the battery or running low wings, as Modi goes down the inside, and I think we'll have the position on exit with the softer compound of tyres. And it seems like also Cinco is going to try and get past as well, and is going around the outside. At least he's on board cam for literally the first time this race. And they're now following nose to tail through turns 5, 6 and 7, although the Alpine has not been able to follow very close on the exit of 7, but the Mercedes runs deep into turn 8, which means that the Alpine is quite close into turn 9 and 10, though it's pretty hard to go for a move unless you have a big tyre delta and the person ahead is compliant. Are there any other things happening here? AJ is trying to bridge up to the front, and then there's Hards just literally. Well, the thing about the Hards is that they go from vomit to pretty nice over the stint. Unlike the softs, which go from very nice to vomit during a stint, and the mediums are just in the middle. Imchaz sets fastest lap, and then McGinty follows it, and then Modi beats it again, so a lot of action with the fastest lap. As DRS has now been enabled after the safety car, and we're riding on board with the Alpine, who will have DRS, unlike the Williams ahead. As they are on 8 lap old mediums, so the mediums will be starting to wear a bit, and I think they should be roughly equal to the hards at this point. And Bodian seems to not have the pace of his teammate right now, at least, and is outside of DRS, but is quick enough to break out of the DRS of the Williams behind, so not too awful, although that doesn't seem to be the best of exits, as McGinty is following right on the back of Imtiaz, go for an overtake for the on-track lead of the race. However, for the virtual lead of the race, it's a fight between Matuziak, Cinco and Kinnable, although one of them has a 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane under safety car. Although whether they'll win the race will depend on whether Imchaz and McGinty are quick enough to gain that pit stop back on them. Because the leaders, they have to do another pit stop, but if their tyres are quick enough, they can recover all the time as... what's the first name of this driver? I'm just looking at the standings. As Jacob, in the Alpine, gets ahead of Quattro. As there's some new names that I need to learn. And also Bodian seems to have dropped back, as there's also action further behind. Oh, that's not ideal. As there is a bit of a tap, and Matuziak, I think, or was it Cinco? Might have been Cinco who tapped Kinnable round into a spin. If that is reported, there's a probability of a penalty being applied. So, a pretty clumsy move. As we get this terrible shot of racing, but looks nice if you appreciate DRS activation mechanisms. As Kinnable's tyres seem to be gone, and there is yet another spin. As there are 3 cars very close together, and Modi might even make that 4 cars in the battle for P4 right, actually no, P3 right now. And I think Bodian will be coming under pressure from those on the medium tyres, as Jacob is able to get past it before even the braking zone, so the Alpine seem to be running pretty low wings. However, Bodian will try and fight back mid-corner as they're going too wide. And then there's a little tap between the Williams and the McLaren, and it seems like the Williams will get ahead. And Jacob is now up into P3, so not too bad, and that has invited Modi into the battle. And the Indian, who is pretty quick, and is also on the quicker tyres, is not going to delay until making moves, although that was a bit of a dive and a shove off track. So, not the cleanest move so far, which there's a possibility of it getting reported. I said that for the other incident. I should probably stop sounding like a broken record, but it seems like Darius is following quite close behind and is thinking about going for a move into turn 11, but ends up backing out as there's just not the inherent pace in that McLaren. Because right now, AJ will get DRS off the back of the Williams ahead, who's going slightly defensive along the straight. As the Alpha Tauri will be able to open the rear wing flap, and that will gain a few tenths over the lap. Lol, he has 69 as his number. That's who has 69? Oh, AJ. I thought 69 was my number because I claimed it or something. Go see the driver number sheet. Yeah, I know it's Modi. I've seen the car, but that's my number. Go check the spreadsheet. But Modi will be stuck behind for another middle sector. Will there be another turn 8 dive bomb? We are about to see. What do you mean 69 trash? Will Modi send it? Not this lap. Just stays behind the Williams for now. And is getting quite close into the back of... Oh, and Bodian taps him round. That is not ideal, if I'm being completely honest, and AJ is probably going to be quite fuming at this point, having lost the wing after Kent's spin. And now this. As Mitch says, revenge. Or whatever. But up front... What's his name? McGinty. Is, right on the back of Imtiaz. Opens up the rear wing. Will there be a swap of leaders as Bodian's in the pit and Hidechi has got 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. Everyone's struggling with the pit entry here. Well, at least we haven't had to re-lobby this race yet. Is this race exciting? Can I do a poll? I don't think I can unless I tab out, so I won't. Is there anything going on? Just these two leaders fighting it out for P1 on track. I'll actually switch to the leader timing thing, so we can see whether they're pit stop ahead, and Matuziak is going to be about 10 seconds ahead of them if they were to pit now. But new mediums will probably have enough pace advantage to claw that back. Goat and P6 keep an eye out, yes. Goat will be 9 seconds ahead, although 4 when you factor in penalties. Back to the leaders. As they get another dose of DRS, and McGinty actually sets the fastest lap. There's people pitting. Bodian's also quite close to the back, and Modi's also quite quick. But Modi will probably have to do another pit stop. Yeah, I can make whoever I want the GOAT of F2. I think Bodian might be going for a move, because there's actually a tyre offset. And also the McLaren has a lot of battery in reserve, although it isn't using it, maybe just hoping to get it done with the slipstream and DRS, and is actually behind at the detection point, so has played it quite well as they go side by side through turn 1. However, the Williams is ahead through turn 2, but McLaren will get another go at it as there's a spin ahead. So that will bring out yellow flags, which might give an illegal overtake. Oh, and they touch! They keep out of the wall, and now there's an Alpine there. This seems a bit sketchy. As the Alpine of Jacob is on cold hards, which are terrible in the warm-up phase. And Bodian might be going for a move now, although it doesn't get the best of exits off turn 10. I'll have to sit behind for another lap, as Kinnable has gotten a 3-second time penalty for going off track 3 times. Which is not what you want, and also, as Imchas had a spin. Probably. Yeah, I would say that Imchas has had a spin. Should we do a vote? Type in 1 if you think Imchas has spun, type in 0 if you think he hasn't spun. I'm just looking at the timing thing, and I didn't notice that because I was focusing on this, and Bodian's now coming under threat from... I need to learn these names. Quator. Imchas is still the same, yes. Actually, Dino, you're not going to... You needed to win the first 3 races with the goated engineer last season. That's what allowed you to win the championship. But this season, if you don't have a goated engineer race 1, I don't think you're going to win. Bodian is right behind Jacob and has DRS and is using a bit of battery on exit, although I don't think the McLaren will be close enough, as it seems like the McLaren's running a higher downforce setup, as Imchas is now in the pits. You still haven't paid me. You know what? If he said we're just going to is going to force someone to do engineering tomorrow in PC1. If you can just sit in the Discord call so Wodge can shut up, I will be happy. Bodian is quite close to the back right now and actually sets the fastest lap. Uses a bit of battery, but will mainly be using the drag reduction system and will pull ahead before even the braking zone. And is now up into P8. And is now chasing after Kinnable, who I believe has a 5-second for speeding in the pit lane. Or was that track limits? I will check now. Only 3 seconds. However, the tyres are much better on the cars behind, so they'll be closing up pretty quickly. There's also the fact that when McGinty and AJ will box onto more mediums. I think McGinty's hards right now are feeling fine. And I'll just check the thing, and right now the gap to Imchas was 26 seconds when he came in. And that should be about 3 seconds when he comes out, probably. Sure, ha. Depends if I come to the dorms in time. And then, woo! What's that for? Well, McGinty's ahead of Imchas, but has a pretty slidey rear end on the cold tyres. So once the warm-up is done, Imchas will have gotten an undercut. I'm not sure how much, though, and for McGinty to win. Really, it all depends on the pace of AJ. AJ might box for another set of mediums, which is the safe options. He might go for the softs, which is the spicy option. Or we might try and stick out on mediums till the end, which is the spicy option. You think he's going to crash? Okay. Is there anything going on? This battle between Bodian and Jacob. No, I wanted to switch that one. There we go. Now he crashed the first 3 races and then got banned for UAs. Which is not ideal. To get banned. Something as silly as that. But Modi's staying out, so I think he's got confidence in his tyres as Imchaz sets the fastest lap and is actually bearing down on the back of McGinty. But Imchaz dumped the battery to do that lap, and McGinty has more battery, although not that much more. But Imchaz, I think, is a quicker driver but has the worst tyres. I'll just go back and forth with the Bodian battle. Probably going to go for softs. I think so as well. So actually, if he's going for mediums, he might come in this lap. Or he might be hoping for a safety car. Which is a possibility. It's not like Australia where the track loves safety cars. He's not going to have enough time to catch Imchaz. The softs feel pretty decent. I think, for me, it's 8 laps and they feel bad. They still have grip until the rears hit about 60. And they were about 7% a lap. So 8 laps and... yeah, 8... I'll just say I'll disagree with you on the softs being terrible. I think the C1, 2, 3 tracks, those are the ones where you consider the softs. As well as Monza and maybe Mexico and maybe Singapore in this game. But Modi's in for some mediums. I guess he'll split it 13... actually no. He'll split it 12-11 in terms of racing laps on the 2 medium stints. As Cinco has also hit the pits. Despite being on the hard, so interesting strategy choice. Maybe the tyre wear slightly higher on the Alpine than what I projected with my models, but AJ comes out 3.6 seconds behind Imchaz, so why is the game telling me he's back in the pits? This is bugged. Oh, and these two have crashed. Oh, and there's a retirement. Jacob's out. And Bodian's in a wall. And that's brought out the safety car. So how am I... I'm doing okay right now. I wasn't really focusing when this happened. I should be focusing on the race more. Yeah, Bodian's still defending aggressively. Yeah. Van Helden is in the pits. What? Okay, the car's been released now. Oh wait, the car's now teleported to the end of the pit lane. That's not ideal. Quattro's got a penalty. What's happening to Van... do you want to be my, what's it called? The replay thing. Gareth just turned in on him side by side. But out front, that's brought Modi right up to the back of the 2 leaders. I wonder if anyone's going to box for softs. Lap 20, so... Bodian's gone for softs. Cinco's gone for softs. I personally think that it's 50-50 as to whether you go softs or mediums from this point onwards. What? I might need to red flag. I'm going to need to red flag. Sorry. at F2 red flag. Am I creating the new lobby as Finn Dyson? I think, where do I call the safety car from? I'm going to do a review of what happened and like the incident to see whether I decide to who I decide to let back in. Oh, that incident looks a bit sketchy. I'll host the lobby, I think. I need to get the order up. So we'll do it from when the safety car was called. Which was there, I think. So you're just seeing the thumbnail thing. But I'll make the new lobby now. It's going to be a 50% sprint. And I need to remember to save the grid. And also I need to disable crossplay. Quiz time. I would be doing that if I didn't have to make the new lobby. But I'll make the new lobby now. I'm going to do sprint watch. Create game, friends only. Yeah, there was a red flag because someone alt-tabbed. People need to join off me. I need to load the settings. Which is F7, not the enter button for some reason. Session start time. Realistic, not midday. We're going to do a sprint and race. And then we're going to do a custom grid at Bahrain. Ooh, Matusiak leads. Well, I'll start inviting people now. Bodian. Invite to lobby. You crashed. Imchaz. Invite to lobby. You're not in my tier anymore. McGinty though. You are still in my tier. let you get invited. Oh, I haven't invited 10 people yet. Should I need to invite Van? Oh, actually, is Van Helden in? Yes, Van Helden is in the lobby. Told them they have 2 minutes to get into this lobby, so I can start getting. I can start setting up the grid order now that everyone is starting to join. So Imchian Bodian gets moved ahead of Van Helden. McGinty is moved there. You get moved there. And then you get moved there. And I'll save for now. Why have I been pinged in PS? F2. Oh, someone just pinged all the stewards for no reason other than he wanted a steward, but you ping your steward, not all of them. So someone hasn't added me on Steam. My code is already here. Where did I post? He sent me a thing on Steam. Okay. I'll need to change the name now before I forget. Sorry for this. Why is it? Where is it? Sometimes Steam can be a bit laggy as well. Just online. Okay, I've added you to Steam now. How many people are in the lobby? Only 8 out of 10. We're just online, not playing a game. Okay, there's 9 people. Yeah. To Ziak is P1. A 2 stack is P9. Confirm. Save the things. Begin to. Where's Modi? You can check the grid quickly. And now I've just made it disappear. We'll go back to that. I'm going to do the same thing for my lobby. If Modi isn't joining, we go. And this is definitely the correct order, right? Choose Jack McGinn, Team just Kennegal, Lecce, Brodian, Cinco, Matuzak, Van Helden, and then make sure it's saved. I see someone's filling in the standings. I think Modi... Is he going off to sleep now? I guess it is quite late in India. We've got a 10-lap sprint, so I'd probably go for mediums. Those softs are an option in theory. Still waiting for people to load in. When did I call the red flag? We need to keep tracking of restart performances. So I called it 12 minutes ago. That was probably an 11-minute red flag. If we go from calling it to lobby, telling everyone to ready up in the new lobby. Oh, we're getting 4 and now 5 red lights. And away we go, and Matuziak leads the field away in the Williams as there's been a very poor start, as there's 4 people around. What is this? It's carnage. Only 5 people have made it to turn 1. As Imchaz has taken the lead over Matuziak, who's P2, and McGinty's down to P3. That was crazy, as McGinty's now gotten a penalty. Oh, I did the assist settings. Dang it. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to need to do a restart again. I should probably... I need to do my settings correctly. Hopefully this can be a bit quicker. Am I doing the new lobby? I'll start setting it up now. I should set up some setting things. Qualifying off, long realistic. Yes, there's another restart. Also, why can't... I'll tell them to join off me. Hopefully they know how to get in. I'll save these settings. I'm just setting up the lobby now. I'll quickly show the settings. Yeah, that looks correct. Shall I just set it to Bahrain dynamic? Then we've got sprint, Bahrain, and then ease assist restrictions. Okay, time to set the grid. So actually I need to change it to custom grid and then get the order back up. Tuziak moves up, McGinty, then Imchaz, then Kinnable, then this has not gone ideally. 2 people missing. Why do people need invites? Okay, I think we've got all 9 people in. I just need to set the order. Actually, no. DNF drivers are not allowed to rejoin. 2 shot. This one, you go ahead of Van Helden. Aging. Cinco needs to get moved down. I think the grid is correct, so I can haha. Okay, just one last check of the grid, and then I'll tell them to go. Matuziak, McGinty, Imshaz, Kinnable, Felici, Bodian, Cinco, Tuziak. Okay, we are going. Hopefully I've set the assists correct this time. Save the grid. Yes, I have saved the grid. You can see it here. Okay. We're in again. Hopefully this works. So we're just loading in now. So it's waiting for players, but I think this might be an issue with like the sprint thing where it just sends us straight from this to the 5 red lights. So we'll be waiting for okay, someone's hit begin. Hopefully they've remembered the setup. Although the default setup at Bahrain is, it's not the worst track to be default setup on. I would probably give that award to Japan. Bahrain's actually probably one of the tracks where the default setup's pretty okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And away we go. And there's a few less spins, as it seems like it's been a very clean start for Matusiak, who will be leading going into P1. Although McGinty and Imchaz break much later, which allows at least McGinty to get past. However, Imchaz is now going side by side with Cinco in the battle for P4 as they head down into turn 4. As they're going side by side on exit, and I think Imchaz might just be ahead going into turn 5, and he is. So now heading into turn 8, is there going to be any moves further back? Yes, there is, and it's 3 wide, and there's a spin! That was a bit crazy, as Matuzak is around. That was a pretty crazy end to the first, actually it's the middle of the second sector. And they're going side by side down the straight, Van Helden and Bodian. However, Bodian breaks much later and gets the position. But Imchaz, probably wanting to get past Kennable pretty quickly if he wants to have a chance of winning this race, because McGinty and as well as Matusiak are just storming off out in front, and Imchaz is able to get past. You get a very narrow angle shot. I'll go back to Bodian and ride on board and get the telemetry up so you can see the battery and all that stuff. Though Kindable, I think, will be challenging around the outside, and Mercedes seems to have used a decent amount of battery so far. However, Imchaz gets better traction off the corner and is going to drive off into the distance, but Bodian, Imchaz's teammate, is quite close behind and is probably looking to go for a move at some point. Maybe the turn 8 dive bomb. Yes, it is. Although he gets pinched onto the apex and gets tapped around and then whacks the ball, so not a clean move overall. But Imchaz is now right on the back of Matusiak as they're heading through the whatever sector this is. Going from the second into the third sector now. as the line between the sectors is, you can see it on the mini-map, between turn 12 and 13, but Imtiaz is probably going to want to do an overtake and start setting chase on McGinty if the McLaren wants a chance of winning the race. However, Matusiak probably wants to get a good result out of this, having started P1 after the restart. So boxing for Haas under the first safety car worked out well for the Williams driver. However, Imtiaz will have DRS this time, although Imtiaz is starting to burn down the battery. As they come through turn 4, and now 5, 6 and 7, as Imtiaz is having to do a lift through turn 7 because the mediums aren't soft compound tyres and they still have a bit of fuel in the car, so it's not 100% qualifying conditions, but it's much closer than at the start of a full 50%. However, Imtiaz seems to have gotten a very strong exit off the corner and is going to try and get past with DRS, and there's not that much that Matusiak can do for now other than sit behind, wait to get DRS himself, and then use the battery to try and get past. He's having to do a small lift through turn 12 just to keep the rear in check, although he runs deep into turn 13, but I'm not sure whether he's actually going to be able to challenge for the position. But what this battling has done is it now means that Imtiaz is 3.6 seconds behind McGinty, who is storming off to possibly take the first win of the season. But Cienko also has a lot of battery and might be looking to challenge Kinnable and then possibly trying to leap onto Matusiak, although Matusiak seems to have closed into Imtiaz a little bit with the aid of DRS, but has dropped out after a poor traction zone. The Alpine seems quite racy right now. We'll ride on board through turn 7 as there's yellow flag further back as Bodian's had a spin. And now they're coming through into the famous turn 9 and 10, not locking up. Gets it stopped nicely, gets on the throttle, opens the DRS. What do you mean I did the most evil thing in Japan? Oh, you saw it on stream. Yeah. Yeah, I did have to just kick the guy out of the lobby. But Cienko has dropped a bit off the back of Kinnable, so maybe the tyres have switched off a bit or something. He's almost dropped out of DRS, so is probably using the battery. It seems to be so because the Mercedes is down to 16%, which is not that many. Also, Van Helden, on the first drive in an actual race with points, is up into P7 despite not really having the pace, and by just not DNFing and not spinning in the final race, is on track to score 6 points, which is 6 more than Modi, Kent, who else DNF'd? A bunch of people. More than half the tier. It's above median, and probably above mean as well, if you get what I mean. I didn't actually intend to make that pun. But the race seems to have settled down a little bit. Aston Martin. Yeah, Aston Martin is not doing too well this race, if I'm being completely honest. But someone who is doing quite well right now is Cienko, who is seeing the flashing red light on the Mercedes, which will tell the Alpine that the Mercedes is out of battery, and the Alpine tries to go around the outside. I'm not sure who got DRS, it was the Alpine, as they are now coming out of turn 2, I believe. Wait, why is... I think the Alpine decided to, or chose to shut the DRS to avoid going side by side. But if you just lift off the throttle, you save a % or 2 of battery, which is pretty powerful. IMHO. But right now, they're just in a 2-car DRS train, and not too much is happening yet, although I suspect by the end, spicy stuff might be happening. As Cinco looks to go for a move around the outside. Or was it inside? I don't remember, but backs off as they're now heading through turn 13, nose to tail, and the slipstream will be quite powerful from this distance. So that will be advantage Alpine right now. As the Alpine will also be getting DRS, as Robbie's gone very deep into the final corner. And I think that will allow the Alpine to get past before even the braking zone. And that is the case, so I wonder if Robbie will be able to fight back and either re-overtake, although I suspect the Alpine will just use some battery if that ends up being the case. But out in front, Imchaz hasn't been able to close in on McGinty, and I'll just check on the battery, and they are both fairly equal right now on about 17% as they head into turn 8. And Matusiak is just sitting there nice and comfortably, also on a similar amount of ERS, just in the middle of nowhere, but this middle of nowhere position is going to be a podium. Uh-oh, that is not good. That is really not good, as there seems to have been a clash between Halechi and, was it Kinnable? But that means that Van Helden, who runs off track a bit, but somewhat gets away with it, is now up into P6, so that is 8 points for Ferrari. Apparently his wheel turned off. That is not ideal when your wheel turns off. What is this camera angle that the game's given? I do not understand. Halechi is getting past Bodian, so this really has not been the best of races for Bodian so far. But the pair of them are catching Cheyenne quite quickly, as the Ferrari seems to not have the inherent pace, but has had enough consistency so far. Although I think the Ferrari might have just let the cars through, given the pace deficit. So not the most optimal race so far, but 4 points is greater than 0. I think Kinnable is still driving the car despite the wheel thing. So you will be classified because you reached 90% distance. Although you're typing in the Discord thing, which is a bit sus that you're doing that whilst driving. Although that isn't banned, it's just sus. Well, there aren't any other people nearby for you to kill at the moment. But it seems like Van Helden's actually not dropped off as much as expected, and will be within DRS of Bodian, who is going to be looking for a move on Poitou, who is going to be defending to the inside as they are side by side into turn 1. And I think they will also be side by side into turn 2, although Quattro backs out. But we'll get DRS and we'll go for the move around the outside of turn 4 on McLaren, and Bodian backs out. Bobby's just been told to use keyboard to get to the end. Will these 3 be able to catch? If you're using keyboard, I would say yes. Well, as long as you periodically leave AI mode, you're fine, I think. Well, I can ride on board, and based off that, determine whether it's AI or not. Sounds like AI. As long as you cross the line using your keyboard, you get classified. I think the AI is set to 80. Which should be a bit slower than the drivers. And it had to lift through turn 12. But right now, Quattro is ranging into the back of Darius and has a massive overspeed. And they're going side by side through turn 1, and there's a bit of contact, although fortunately none of them are around. Now the Williams is going to have another run at it going into turn 4, and will be darting down to the inside as Bodian leaves the space there and will be able to stay in front, as this is actually the final lap of the race. Right now. Yeah, this is the final lap. And it seems like Quattro has dropped off the back of Darius. I'm not exactly sure why. Van Helden might actually be going full move, so I think the Belgian driver might regret having let the 2 of them go through a few laps ago. However, McGinty is going to cross the line and take P1 in the opening round. Then Nimchaz takes 2nd place, and Matusiak will take P3 after lucking out with the strategy and the red flag timing. And then Cinco P4, Mitch, this is where your goat came. Then Kinnable P5, Bodian P6, Quattro Halechi P7, Van Helden P8, and then Matuzak P9. See if anyone wants interviews. Who was it? It was Ginty. Imchiaz. Oh, I need to go into here. Then we don't get race director. Nice. Yeah. I love it when it does that. Nothing I can really do. One of the game's bugs. And then 2. I'll invite them for interviews. And see if they join. Okay, McGinty will get moved. Hello.
Hello.
Well done on P1.
Thank you very much.
So, the first race, or the first lobby, it was technically the same race, but different lobbies. The start, I think, went okay. And then I think you were in the DRS of Imchaz. And then Imchaz lost 4 seconds on the Delta. I wasn't actually looking at what happened on stream. I assume that there was a bit of a spin.
Yes, there is a bit of contact between me and him, but I don't necessarily think I'm in the wrong. He's just essentially parked it in sector 2, and I was literally just coasting into the corner, and I still hit him.
Okay. And then we come to the second lobby, and you get a pretty great restart. And you get ahead of Matusiak into turn 1, and then you basically just drove off from there.
Yeah, I think I would have gotten a 5-second lead, but I was keep on oversteering in the again sector 2.
Yeah,
So if
oversteer.
penalty is to come, that's unfortunate.
This is a very difficult track in terms of the oversteer. Like, the rear tyres wear so much quicker than the fronts here,
Oh yeah.
which makes it quite a difficult track, but I think you handled it well, and unless anyone else comes in for an interview, I think we'll end the stream there. So, everyone, I might not be commentating next week, I'm not sure though, but it will be Japan, same time, maybe not same person, but I'll end the stream there.